Hi, we're live here in the President's office with the 15th President of Manhattanville College, President Frank Sánchez. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jamal. How are you doing?
I'm doing great.
Good.
So we're going to start off with some little icebreaker questions to really get the students to know you a little bit better.
Sure.
Okay. If you were stranded on a desert island and you could only bring 3 things with you, what would you bring?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Well, I'd bring a life raft. I would bring some water, and I'd bring a fishing pole.
What's your favorite movie?
Oh my gosh, that's a tough one. Well, this past summer, my dad and I were watching, we really enjoyed the latest Top Gun, the Maverick movie that just came out. We probably watched it 5 different times. My dad really enjoyed it. So that's the latest favorite of mine.
How about your favorite book?
Favorite book? I just picked up again, and I read it probably 15, maybe close to 20 years ago. Jim Collins wrote this book, and many of you maybe have seen Good to Great. And he basically talks about companies that started out really good and then just took off. But he has this concept called the hedgehog concept, where you find something that you're really passionate about, where you really have strength and talent, and then you take that one thing and you excel. And he would argue you really want to try to become the world's best. But I picked up that book up again recently, and it's a pretty good one for me.
What about your favorite TV show?
I just finished the, I don't know if you've seen the Invasion series. I think it's on Apple TV. And they just finished their last episode, but that was I'm a little bit of a sci-fi type person, but that was the last series I watched, just finished up a couple of weeks ago. Fun.
How about your favorite sport to watch?
Favorite sport? Well, I was a wrestler growing up, a college wrestler, so I enjoy watching that. But I'll be honest with you, I enjoy watching high-level competition. Really doesn't matter what it is, from soccer to baseball to football to track and field. I really just like to see the spirit of competition at a really high level. So I'll be honest, a lot of different sports. Golf, I enjoy watching. Even cornhole on occasion. I've seen high competition cornhole, which is fun to watch.
Are you a calf or a pub kind of guy?
Oh gosh. So the dining hall is still new. I haven't been there too many times, so I have to go with the pub. I mean, the pub chicken sandwich, right, is pretty tasty. So,
what's your favorite food?
Gosh, that's another tough one. My mom cooks some amazing Mexican food. Lasagna, Italian is something I'll gravitate towards. I like a lot of sushi. I'll do sushi. A lot of different types of food.
What's your favorite spot to be on campus?
I really enjoy the quad. I think one of my first experiences I had was when all of our new students came to campus and they gathered on the quad and walked up to the castle. And it's kind of that memory, and you see students on the quad. There seems to be an energy. It's beautiful out there. You have the castle in the backdrop, but I got to say probably being on the quad.
Now, this is a great, wonderful student question. Rumor has it that you have vintage cars.
Did I have what?
Vintage cars.
Vintage car?
Yeah.
Huh.
Is that true?
It is true that I do have a old Ford Mustang that I have a 1968 Ford Mustang convertible that I take out during the summer months and drive around every now and again.
Could you please tell us more about yourself and your professional background?
So I grew up in Cheyenne, Wyoming. I'm the youngest of 4 siblings. I went, my undergraduate degree is from the University of Nebraska. I started out as an intercollegiate athlete. I wrestled at the University of Nebraska. When I stopped wrestling, I had to pay for school somehow, so I became an RA, of course, room and board. I got involved in student clubs and orgs and student government, and that's actually got me interested in college administration. I thought the administration could do a better job serving students, from programs and services, campus life, student clubs and orgs. And literally during that time, I said, well, how did these guys get these jobs? And that's when I learned there's graduate programs in higher ed administration. And so I ended up getting my master's and PhD in higher education administration. And I've been working in higher ed for about 30 years now. But that's kind of how I got started into the field. And Prior to Manhattanville, I was a president at Rhode Island College for 6 years. And before that, I was actually in New York working at the City University of New York system.
And how do you like Manhattanville so far?
Oh, Manhattanville is amazing. One thing I got to tell you, I'm just so impressed is the student community here. It's been fun watching certainly our student athletes and some of the success we've seen on the field and on the court. I think it's been historic. It's been about 15 years since we've seen 3 conference championships just in the winter sports. But more than that, what I've been impressed with about this institution is not just the student community, but how also dedicated and committed our faculty and our staff are in supporting our students. I've heard that from students, and in a very deep way, I've heard that about from our faculty and staff about how committed and dedicated they are to the students and their learning and their success. So those are a few things that I've enjoyed learning about Manhattanville.
And is it different from other institutions that you've been president at?
So, I think it is. In one way in particular, and a lot of higher education institutions talk about how they care about students, right? All of them do. They say they care. But I got to tell you, at Manhattanville, it's definitely deeper here. You hear it with a greater sense of passion and a greater sense of authenticity when faculty and staff talk about how much they care about students. And you hear it from the students as well, of the mentoring, the coaching, and the advising, and the support the students are receiving. They really feel like there's a genuine and authentic care that comes across from our faculty and staff. I think that's a little different than where I've been at before.
You've been president at Manhattanville College for 5 months now. What are some issues that you've seen that are high on your list of priorities to tackle?
So there's a lot of priorities right now, but when I think about the student experience, which is your primary audience here, I've heard a lot from students. One, I think students are really interested in having an improved kind of student life, the campus experience. We know a lot of students go home over the weekend, but can we have a more robust set of programs and activities and ways in which we engage our community? That's been something that is of great interest for students. Not a lot of colleges and universities have like a union, a building where students do all this programming, morning, noon, and night. They congregate and come together. We really don't have that common space like that at Manhattanville. That's an area I'm interested in. Another area for certain is that we know for students to be competitive in the world of work, they need experiential learning opportunities. Now that might be, an internship at a corporation. It might be a research experiment in a laboratory. It might be a practicum in the classroom or a study away in another country or a major service learning project at a nonprofit somewhere in Westchester. I think making sure that all of our students have those type of experiential learning opportunities so they can be competitive when they graduate, that's an important priority for me going forward. It can't just be 50 or 100 or 200 kids that are getting these experiences. It really should be all of our students. By the time they graduate, they should have these type of hands-on learning experiences. The other thing I've heard students talk about that I think is important is our facilities. This is a beautiful campus. But we clearly see, the aging of our facilities. And I've heard a lot about our residence halls that need to be modernized and updated. And there's no question we need to do a better job, not just modernizing and updating, but making sure they're kept up better. That takes resources and it takes planning and focus. But I've heard enough from students now that I think we can do a better job on that front. Those would be some priorities from the student perspective that I think have really come to my attention.
As we look ahead to the future of Manhattanville College, what specific initiatives are you most excited about?
So one of the top initiatives that's really right around the corner is transitioning from Manhattanville College to Manhattanville University. The state of New York has actually already approved our charter. Now we just need to do a public launch. I'm excited to tell your audience here that the first week of April, we're going to launch to become Manhattanville University. Now, there's a lot of work that needs to happen between now and then. We're going to rebrand ourselves. This is an opportunity to have anyone and everyone who knows anything about Manhattanville to know that we have become a university. It's also an opportunity when we talk to families and prospective students to say, hey, this is Manhattanville University, and this is the type of quality of education we can provide you. We have to brand that out, so we're working on that. The other piece of that launch is in that first week of April, we're not only going to do the launch of the university, but we're also going to have the installation of myself as the 15th president. So we're leveraging that as the opportunity to go out onto media and say, hey, we're now Manhattanville University. We'd like to introduce you to the new president of Manhattanville to kind of set the stage for a new narrative, a new conversation about the future of Manhattanville. And so that's a big initiative that right around the corner is going to get launched. We've put together an inauguration committee made up of students, faculty, staff, and alum, and they're coming up with a week-long series of activities culminating into the launch of the university and my installation as well. So that's one major project just right around the corner.
How collaborative do you want to be with students on addressing issues?
Well, students are going to be key to us, solving issues on the campus. In fact, one of my mentors when I was going to college once said, when I was in graduate school, he goes, Frank, whenever you make a tough decision, you want to think students first, then decide. And I've always tried to hold to that standard because everything we do at this institution is to serve students. So bottom line, students play a critical role in informing administration of how we can do things better. There's a couple things I'm doing to make sure I hear the student's voice. One, I work closely with the new student body president, Ayla, and on a monthly basis we have meetings to do a number of things. One, for me to share with her some of the work we're doing on behalf of students, but it's also an opportunity for her to share with me things we can do better and share with me the work that they're doing on behalf of students. Two, I know our new Dean of Students recently, just this year, launched a Dean's Council, and that's made up of all the student body president, club, and organizations across the campus. And again, this is an opportunity for me to listen to students directly about how the administration can better support students in their success at the college. And so there are two ways right there that we have built into our systems to get the student voice so that we can be more responsive to our students.
Are you interested in the idea of office hours or something similar to give students the opportunity to have more face time with you?
Absolutely. In fact, we've already taken that step. So every other Thursday at 3 o'clock, I have virtual office hours. So students can call the office, sign up for a time to speak with me for that very reason. I think the president should be available to students to hear the issues, the concerns, but also what we're doing well and what we can do better. But we have actually already established office hours specifically for students to talk with me and engage with me every month, twice a week, or twice every month.
Is there anything else you'd like the students of Manhattanville to know about President Sánchez?
The one thing that a lot of students may not know is that, I got into this field to serve students. My whole career prior to this presidency and this last was all in student services and student affairs. And so I care deeply about our policies, our programs, our resources, our supports, our services for students. And if there are ways we can do better, I would love to hear from students. I value the student voice. I value the student perspective. And I think that would be one thing I would share. They have a president now that cares deeply. And I think other presidents certainly cared as well. But my training, my background, my experiences has all been in support of our students and their success. I think that would be one thing I would leave them with.
Thank you so much, President Sánchez, for letting us talk to you. That's all the questions that we have.
Right. Thank you, Jamal.